This is Inside China Politics. I'm Deng Yuwen. Today, we look at why Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's recent remarks about Taiwan triggered the strongest Chinese reaction in years. Let's look at the statement that Kaohsiung Sanae made. When Takaichi stepped into office, many expected China-Japan relations to cool. But few expected tensions to explode this quickly and in a way directly triggered by the new Prime Minister herself. On November the 7th, during a Diet session, Takaichi stated that a Taiwan contingency could constitute a situation threatening Japan's survival. In plain terms, she suggested that Japan might intervene militarily in a Taiwan Strait conflict. Beijing reacted instantly and intensely. The speed, the scale, and the tone of China's response all showed one thing. This was not routine diplomatic friction. This was something Beijing considers a direct political challenge. China's unusually strong response. Over the past week, China's criticism of Takaichi has not slowed down for even a moment. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued repeated statements. More notably, Chinese diplomats summoned Japanese officials using the phrase "by order of superiors," "fengqi yuejian." This wording is extraordinarily rare in China-Japan diplomacy. Its use signals only one thing. Beijing now treats the incident as a quasi-political crisis. China's major state media, the People's Daily, Xinhua News Agency, and PLA Daily, released a series of sharply worded commentaries, warning Japan not to misjudge the situation over Taiwan. One commentary went so far as to state, "If Japan miscalculates, the flames of war will burn across the entire Japanese archipelago." That level of language is almost unheard of. Chinese ministries also acted. The Ministry of Culture and Tourism and the Ministry of Education issued notices advising Chinese citizens to avoid travel and study in Japan for the time being. Japan's seafood imports are already suspended. Multiple cultural and people-to-people exchanges have been halted. At sea, Chinese Coast Guard patrols around the Diaoyu Islands intensified, and the PLA announced an 8-day live fire drill in the Yellow Sea, notably at locations oriented toward Japan. Everything points to a single conclusion. China will not let this incident go easily, unless Takaichi publicly retracts her remarks. But both she and the Japanese government have stated that they will not. Why Beijing is furious? For red lines crossed. Why did one sentence trigger such a dramatic chain reaction? Because, in Beijing's view, Takaichi crossed 4 of China's most sensitive red lines. All at once, let's look at them one by one. Multiplied by red line 1, challenging the one China principle multiplied by. Takaichi's statement was made as a sitting prime minister, inside the national legislature, and in an official capacity. For Beijing, this is not a private opinion. This is Japan adopting a potential state position. Her remarks directly contradict the political foundation of China-Japan diplomatic normalization, laid out in the 1972 Joint Communiqué and subsequent political documents, where Japan fully understands and respects China's position that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China, by suggesting that Japan might treat Taiwan as part of its own security perimeter. Takaichi signaled a fundamental shift. In Beijing's strategic reading, Japan is moving from supporting the U.S. to actively intervening in the Taiwan issue. Multiplied by red line 2, awakening historical trauma. The fear of Japan's return to militarism multiplied by. Takaichi didn't simply repeat Taiwan contingency. She elevated it to a situation threatening Japan's survival. A phrase with explicit military implications under Japan's security laws. This kind of language instantly awakens China's deep historical memory, Japan's past invasions of China, its expansion in Asia, and the pre-World War II mobilization logic that also used the excuse of national survival. In Chinese discourse, Takaichi's framing looks like Japan's right-wing repackaging its old mobilization narrative through the Taiwan issue, her previous actions meeting Taiwanese political figures, awarding honors to Taiwanese representatives, and promoting closer political contact, reinforce this perception. Beijing believes this is not an accidental comment, but part of a planned strategic push to break post-war constraints and expand Japan's security role. Multiplied by Red Line 3, a perceived political betrayal of Xi Jinping multiplied by. This is the part most observers miss. Just days before her remark, Takaichi met President Xi Jinping in Gwangju, where she expressed a desire to stabilize bilateral relations and reaffirm the principles of diplomatic normalization. 1 week later, she said the exact opposite in the Diet. In the Chinese political system, this is not interpreted simply as inconsistency. It is seen as a direct affront to the political authority of China's top leader. The use of the phrase, by order of superiors in the diplomatic summons, strongly suggests that the matter has reached the highest level, likely Xi himself, for a Chinese leader, especially one with elevated authority like Xi Jinping. Publicly contradicting a commitment made to his face is treated as a serious political insult. Multiplied by Red Line for undermining China's deterrence and encouraging internationalization of the Taiwan issue multiplied by. One of Beijing's long-term goals is to prevent Taiwan from becoming an internationalized issue. If Japan publicly declares that Taiwan contingency equals Japan contingency, and Beijing responds gently, other countries, Britain, Germany, Australia, Canada, EU members, might follow Japan's example and adopt similar language. This is exactly what Beijing wants to avoid: a shift from a primarily US-China standoff to a multilateral Western alignment on Taiwan. For China, Japan cannot be allowed to become the first domino. What comes next? Takaichi may believe she is merely continuing Japan's recent policy trajectory, but in political language, context determines impact. And her context is explosive. A new prime minister, speaking in the national legislature, days after meeting Xi Jinping, while Japan's right-wing forces pushed national normalization. So she ended up stepping on China's sovereignty red line, its historical red line, its political authority red line, and its strategic red line. Simultaneously, any one of these would have triggered strong Chinese reactions. All for together guaranteed a much larger storm. In the coming weeks, Beijing's countermeasures will likely continue and intensify if Takaichi refuses to retract her statement. China-Japan relations may enter a new and difficult era. And inside Japan, policy debates could deepen, with potential shifts in Tokyo's long-term security posture. This has been Inside China Politics. I'm Deng Yuwen. If you found this analysis helpful, subscribe for more in-depth explanations of China's politics, geopolitics, and power. Thanks for watching.